All right. What's going on, dude?
Still wiping my tears from Sunday.
Yeah, that was you know what? Excellent game, but like just a piss poor ending.
Dude, I look, there's so many things about that game, so many missed opportunities on the Eagles' part, um, so many issues. Just the call at the end burns my ass. The fact that the NFL let that game be played on that shitty surface, which it was too late at that point, but at the beginning of the year, you saw you were having issues with that field.
Hmm.
There was issues in the very first game that were played on that field. And, it was just God, it just burns my ass that such a the game was so it was you couldn't have asked for a better Super Bowl, a more competitive Super Bowl, a more action-packed Super Bowl than to have it end without Jalen Hurts getting a chance to actually possess the ball and try to score with like a minute, what would have been like a minute and 20 left, right?
Right.
It just sticks in your craw. It's and especially based on the fact that look, Howie Roseman is a genius when it comes to the cap and everything. There's so many free agents on defense, and you got to pay Jalen. I don't know how many. I think it's 8 free agent starters on defense if you include Linval Joseph. I don't know how you bring even half of those guys back with the limited amount. I think they have if they it's like if they redo the restructure Darius Slay and 2 other players, they can free up an additional like 33 or an additional like 23 million in cap or something like that. Um, which at the end of the day leaves them maybe it's more than that, maybe it's less, but I think it was around 33 or 35 million they would have under the cap to play with. Um, but I don't know. It just bugs me because as great of a game that Jalen Hurts had. Think about it this way: Eagles win that game. Who's the MVP?
Oh, him easily,
Right.
easily.
He could. I mean, there's an argument to be made. Obviously, you don't win MVP on the losing team. There's a case that could be made that he was the MVP of that game, even in the loss.
Yeah, you see the stats floating around the highest quarterback rating of any quarterback in any Super Bowl,
Mm.
and it was second to only Nick Foles.
Yeah, yeah. Second to Nick Foles, I think since 2006.
Right.
Um,
So
but no one has ever had the stat line that he's had as a quarterback in the NFL.
right. No, it was crazy. And the thing is, kind of going back on the game itself, after the Chiefs scored their first touchdown in response, I knew it was gonna be a shootout. Mahomes looked good. Now, the thing is, he takes that hit there toward the end of the first half, and everyone's kind of thinking, ooh, he's kind of limping again. He's not really, maybe won't be mobile. And you can speculate as to whatever really occurred there to get him back, but he was certainly more than mobile, much more so than he was in the previous playoff game against the Cincinnati Bengals. I don't know. He and Hurts were both at the top of their games, in my opinion. The one thing that sticks to me is that, and again, blame this on the field, whatever, partially, but boy, the Eagles D, man, just nothing going there for a team that was very close to the NFL record in total sacks and the pressure that they did all season. There was nothing. I mean, nothing there.
See, and that's where, and I'm going to try not to yell because I don't want to scare Scrappy like I did last time we were recording. I ran into the bathroom and hid. But that is one of the things that pisses me off the most, and I'm so fucking glad that asshole's gone. Jonathan Gannon, defensive coordinator. We called for his head so many times in his first season, and even this year, I wasn't his biggest fan. But by the end of the year, I was like, you know what? He coached him up, whatever he did. They were good. But the lack of adjustments in the second half, when you see that your 4 offensive line or defensive linemen are not getting pressure, are not getting home, you have to adjust your calls. You have to adjust your game plan. Eventually, given enough time, Patrick Mahomes will fucking kill you if you do not put him on his ass.
Mm-hmm.
Then, above and beyond that, they scored twice in the fourth quarter on the same fucking play, just run to opposite sides of the field. And it's the play that when the Jaguars played the Eagles, the Jaguars were able to score on the Eagles with the same fucking play. Doug Peterson told their defense what's his name? Their defense coordinator, Sean Spagnuolo? Fucking whatever. Steve Spagnuolo.
Yeah, Steve Spagnuolo, yeah.
Told Steve Spagnuolo, hey, look out for this. They don't adjust to it. And we got beat twice by a fucking play called corn dog, for fuck's sake. It was called corn dog. Andy Reid told one of the interviewers afterwards, hey, what was that play that you guys used against the Eagles and beat them twice? Oh, that was called corn dog. What?
Are you sure he just wasn't thinking of corn dogs?
He asked him twice. He said, are you messing with me or are you being serious? He goes, no. That play's called corn dog. Like, I'm assuming that everything in Andy Reid's fucking offense is called some kind of fast food.
It's gotta be a food item, right?
And you know what? While we're on the topic, and not to go too far off fucking course for for what we're talking about, I give them all the credit in the world. They won the game. Congratulations. Andy Reid is a great coach, but there was he was a Philadelphia icon. There was another Philadelphia icon who I just absolutely can't stand, but who every once in a while hit the nail on the head. And he retired this week. And in his retiring, they reposted, and I forget who did it, but somebody reposted one of his articles from 2019 about Andy Reid and what a fraud he is. And I don't mean a fraud as a coach. He's infinitely talented as a coach, but he puts on this good guy routine, he's your grandpa, or he's your uncle, that you're your fun uncle or whatever. And then you start looking at some of the history of players that he's coached, that he's nurtured, and you look at and I hate to take the shot at his parenting with his kids, but I mean, look at how his sons both turned out. And you look at, and I forgot exactly how many cases of domestic violence Andy Reid kind of, I don't want to say obviously he's not responsible for it.
Right.
But you look at different teams, and the Eagles have a high profile case of it. Not with a high profile player, but there was a guy by the name of Josh Sills, who was an undrafted free agent that was on our practice squad all season. I think he played 3 snaps in the season. And he was arrested for rape or something like that. And people were throwing that at us like, oh, you Josh Sills loving fans on like message boards and shit.
Which is ridiculous. The guy might have been selling hot dogs.
Right. Half our fans don't even know who the fuck he is. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
But I forgot that Tyreek Hill was arrested for domestic abuse.
Mm-hmm.
Frank Clark, who was at the time one of their linebackers.
Kareem.
Yep, Kareem Hunt. Tyreek. Did I say Tyreek Hill already?
Yeah, Tyreek. Yeah, Tyreek.
And there was like a list of players that I'm looking at the list. I'm like, holy shit! Like
the Kareem one was, and I'm not going to try to compare, cases that are worse. But if you recall, that's on video.
Yeah, that was Ray Rice like.
Yeah, it's really really bad.
And he kind of like Andy Reid has never come out and really said anything negative, like admonish. It's been kind of like tousle their hair and then just off you go. And it just bugs me that shit gets. Think about all the people that fans are like, oh, they're this, they're that. Nobody ever has a bad thing to say about Andy Reid, but all this bad shit keeps going down under his watch, and you got to wonder if where there's smoke, there's fire. And I'm not saying that he's telling his guys to go beat people up, but I'm
Right.
wondering what else we don't know.
Yeah, no, you're definitely on to something there. I and you think about the caliber of some of the players that are around now, and I'm not saying crimes against them or things they've done wrong necessarily, but comments that are made. Like look this week with Smith Schuster. I mean, come on.
I fucking hate that guy.
It's ridiculous. It's like, look, the Eagles in every single article, interview, whatever, from everything that I've seen, has been high road. Didn't see any low road stuff. I did see, reporters asking, well, what about the field conditions, and what about this play, and the Jalen fumble and all this stuff. And it's like, look, those things happened, and the Chiefs had to play on the same field we did, and everything was high road comment. It was just, and then of course JuJu comes out and says that.
Yeah, well, I mean,
and he had a little checkered past with Pittsburgh, I know. So it's not exactly he's always been I don't know, like a mini TO, if you will, just kind of a jerk.
I was going to say Antonio Brown, but
that's probably a better way of putting it. Yeah. I always think TO, and I'm never saying his Eagle days. I always think when he's a Cowboy.
Yeah. No, he was an angel with the Eagles until he wasn't.
Yeah, I always. But it's that weird wide receiver mentality. It's very strange. There's a lot of them that have had it over the years, and he's one of them. And he's just an ass.
Right.
And to make a comment like that after a couple days after winning the Super Bowl is just and look, Bradbury owned up to that 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to say whether that should have been called at that spot in the game or not. I'm not an official, but Bradbury owned up to it. So I think that pretty much says it all.
Right.
And it's like, look, they took the high road, and Smith was like, yeah, you know what, man, just say whatever I want, and just a scumbag comment from a scumbag guy.
Well, I forget who it was, but somebody was standing up for Bradbury, and they said, look, your bum ass was on your way out of the league until Patrick Mahomes brought you back to relevancy. So why don't you just shut the fuck up?
Yeah, exactly. And then AJ Brown calling him TikTok boy. I like that.
No, maybe it was AJ Brown who said that, because I think he called him TikTok boy. So, yeah. I mean, it's just amazing too how you see most of the players on both sides have been very gracious, whether gracious winners or gracious losers, and they've shown themselves to be good people. And then you have fucking JuJu Smith-Schuster, who probably, I mean, honestly, he'll get a contract. He's going to get a contract next year.
And I don't think it'll be with the Chiefs, though.
No, I don't think the Chiefs bring him back. I don't think he gets. I think he's going to be one of those where it's going to be like Houston.
Mm-hmm.
He'll sign with a team that is absolutely desperate for talent, has tons of money to spend, and they're willing to overpay for not much production.
Yeah, for a wide receiver 3 at best.
Right. And he's not going to go to a good team at this. He lucked out. He won the fucking lottery getting on the Chiefs this year on a 1-year prove it deal. And he really didn't prove it during the season.
No. It was pretty pedestrian numbers.
Yeah.
Before we get in, we are going to talk about some baseball rule changes that are happening this year, and then kind of our own take and spin and what we want. But I think a good segue into that, though, is thinking about how a couple things, how that game ended, the Super Bowl, where it was just, clock rundown stuff after the holding call. And then the NFL coming out this week and talking about how, or I don't know if it's the NFL, I guess the NFL, I don't know, The tush push that the Eagles always do,
Oh,
talking about changing that potentially, and it's like,
I
um,
did you happen to see there was an article where or a report that Sean Payton is complaining about it nonstop to NFL officials, and he said that if it's legal, I'm going to run it every single down.
then you'll get like exactly 4 yards then on
Right.
a set of downs.
What the fuck are these dude, I don't first of all, I don't understand people being against it. It's a football move. Figure out how to stop it.
Exactly. In fact, it's. I mean, here's the thing. Football is known for playing at the goal line.
Right.
That's all it is. It happens to be a goal line play anywhere on the field.
Right.
I don't understand what the problem is.
You know what it is? It's because people couldn't stop it. And so they bitched. Well, you know what? Why didn't everybody start fucking using it?
Yeah,
If it's
exactly.
so fucking easy to do, why wasn't every other fucking team you had it on tape for 18 weeks of the fucking season, of the regular season, and then throughout the playoffs, and you saw it work. You saw it work time after time after time, and no one else fucking did it.
Right.
You know
No.
why they can't fucking do it? Because they don't have the personnel to do it, because they don't have the talent to do it.
Exactly.
So don't come down because you saw the Eagles doing something that you're fucking jealous that you don't have the fucking team to do. Don't try and fucking take that away.
Especially something that's completely within the bounds of the rule book.
Right. And
That's what's even
especially,
worse.
and I don't want to hear shit out of Sean Payton. You don't like how the way the fucking game's being played now? Go the fuck back up in the booth,
Yeah, because
Downey boy.
the other thing too, I do want to say, and again, I don't know how this has changed. I think it was more of a letdown as a fan of the game, because you see it all the time, not just the Super Bowl. Is in the Super Bowl you had 58 minutes and change on the clock of just pure excitement, and then the last minute and change of clock run. I realize that happens almost every single game. I mean, that's just not new.
Right.
If you're a football fan, that's to be expected. And obviously, people that just watch Super Bowl every year probably are like, "What the heck?" That being said, though, even as a fan of the game, it is something I would like to see changed at some point, particularly in situations like that, where it is, every play is going to make a difference. Look, the Eagles weren't getting blown out by, 35 points. It was a one score game, and I don't know. How do you change that? I don't really know. But it sucks to have something that exciting just end like that.
I mean, so I and I don't know. I don't know how you go about it. Do you institute a rule where unless you were up by so many points within the 2-minute warning, you're not allowed to use the victory formation? Do you like, is that something you do? Or do you do something where like you, um,
You have to. I think there should be something. And again, we're just kind of spitballing here, but instead of kneeling, you have to at least run a play somewhere along the way.
okay, yeah, yeah, I
Other
mean,
than the kneel, it could just be an easy handoff. It could be
yeah,
whatever you're going to do, but you have to run a play.
yeah,
Um, you know, before you start just kneeling every down,
right.
just to run the clock. I don't know. Or they maybe with under 2 minutes, you make the play clock shorter, where you basically essentially force everyone no huddle.
Yeah. Or
I,
maybe you do that the clock stops on a kneel down.
yeah. Oh, I like that. I like that. Almost akin to going out of bounds.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I
But
like
then
that.
that's essentially giving you extra timeouts.
True. Good point.
So
Yeah.
it's
Or maybe it stops on one. I don't know. Like you have, if you do a kneel down and it stops the clock. I don't know. I don't know. That's hard. It's really hard to
yeah.
think what happens. So anyway, rule changes though. Football's behind us right now, unless we'll talk about some XFL
Oh yeah.
stuff here
We'll
eventually.
talk XFL, we've got free agency, we've got the draft.
But
Yeah.
for today, it's behind us. We've got baseball coming up. Pitchers and catchers and other personnel have reported for spring training this week. So that's exciting. But you had some other stuff announced this week on top of other rule changes that were already set to take effect. So before we get into kind of the meat and potatoes of what was already, said to be changed, and this goes back to September of last year to be enforced for the 23 season. A couple changes were announced on Monday. So it says in regular season games, all extra innings will start with the zombie or ghost runner, which you and I have talked about, our absolute disdain for that. And that rule goes back to the COVID 2020 season. Man, that runner on second base,
it's horse shit.
I hate it. I don't like it. It's just stupid.
It's the dumbest rule. It's the dumbest fucking rule.
It really is. I don't like that one at all. And then you have some other stuff that came out. So the rule that regulates when position players can pitch was tweaked. It says previously position players were allowed to pitch when either team had a lead of at least 6 runs. So starting this season, the leading team can only use a position player in this role in the 9th inning with the lead and have a lead of at least 10 runs.
What?
Yeah. There's a couple more bullet points on that. A team behind by 8 or more runs can use a position player to pitch at any time in the game. Don't really know. Oh, okay. The team behind can use one. Okay, I get it. Sorry, I was misunderstanding that. The use of position players as pitchers in extra innings is unrestricted, as it was under the previous rule. So, yeah, you're basically changing that limitation there on the runs. I don't know. It's weird because you're starting to see some two-way players come out more frequently that are not named Ohtani. So,
right. I mean, Cody Clemens. We have
Cody Clemens. We have one now. Cody Clemens. There's others out there too.
Right. See that move pisses me off because there's kind of no reason for that. There's no reason for that rule. It makes sense. Right.
Exactly. So just talking about those two things, ghost runner, zombie runner, whatever, I've heard it called a couple different things. You and I know you're not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of it. That to me, if I'm going to change anything, I'm just not doing that.
Yeah.
At all, period.
Yeah. Well, all right. So looking at the rules as we're going to change them, I am removing both of those rules.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Removing them. We haven't gotten to it yet, but there's another one coming up that I'm going to remove. I have a thought on another. Let's keep going, and I'll get to this shit as we. I don't.
Yeah. I just wanted to get into those two because those are the ones that were just announced this week. So going back into September, and we knew this was coming because we had talked about this on regular pod over the course of the last couple of years in different formats and stuff. The MLB finally is going to introduce a pitch clock to Major League games. If you followed minor league baseball at all to any degree, this is not new. This has been happening for a little while. But a pitch clock is introduced with the following features: a standardized period of 30 seconds between batters within each half inning, a timer between pitches of 15 seconds with the bases empty, and 20 seconds with at least one runner on base. So you have this pitch clock very akin to the shot clock in the NBA, basically. There's other rules that go, other parts of that rule that go with it. But before we get into that, that's the meat of it. Pitch clock with defined time. What's your take on that?
Unnecessary. I'm fairly certain, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the studies they did with the pitch clock in the minors is it did not affect the game time.
Right. We've talked about that on here, actually, and it didn't affect it much at all. I think it was within 60 or 90 seconds of a 2 hour, 45-minute game. Like, it was inconsequential, basically.
Yeah. It's just more shit to go wrong, more shit to... I mean, I guess it makes it look like they're trying to adjust things, which will hopefully draw people in. The thing is, these rules that they're making, these changes they're making, are not for you and me. They're not for lifelong baseball fans. This is to try and bring new people in. This is trying to bring the next generation in, new kids that think, oh, baseball's old and slow and dumb and blah 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 blah. And this is to try and introduce some excitement. I get it. I 100% get it. But again, like with the other rule, make it make sense. Make it be a change that actually does something. If you're going to really go this route, make it do something.
Right. Yeah, I'm not a fan of it at all just because, based on all the stuff with the minor leagues, it hasn't done anything. The other part, too, is I'm really curious to see how long it takes for the first umpire to say, oh, reset the pitch clock because XYZ happened. And then that just makes the game even longer because they had to stop it to,
Right.
I watch a bit of college basketball. Don't watch a lot of NBA just because I don't really care for it. But out every game I watch, well, reset the shot clock. You have the guy going over the scores table. Let's make sure you add the next 2.5 seconds on it. It's like this is going to happen in baseball. But there is a little more, some caveats to that rule. It says the pitcher must start his motion before the expiration of the pitch timer. That makes sense. But the violation on that is an automatic ball. Okay. Batter must be in the box and alert to the pitcher with no less than 8 seconds remaining. The violation on that end is an automatic strike. So that's interesting. I'm kind of curious to see how that one actually plays out. With runners on base, timer resets if the pitcher attempts a pickoff or steps off the rubber. So take the pitch clock away. That's something that's always been part of the game. It always kind of just resets everything.
Right.
Only, and they call that a disengagement. Only 2 disengagements are allowed per plate appearance. So basically 2 pickoffs or stepping off the rubber. However, this counts resets if a base runner advances. So I assume if like a base runner stole the base or whatever.
Wait. So basically, you're allowed 2 pickoff attempts each at bat.
Plate appearance, yes.
So you do it twice.
Then you're done.
Draw him, and then you fucking run.
Right, and that'll get to another rule change that we're going to talk about, which, it's going to be quite kind of interesting if you think about how these are going to play hand in hand. It says mound visits, injury timeouts, offensive team timeouts do not count against this. However, whenever you go beyond that too, let's say another pickoff attempt is made, that runner automatically gets the base. So if runner's at first, the pitcher makes an unsuccessful third pickoff throw, base goes to the runner. I don't know how that's going to be scored because it's not technically a stolen base. I guess it's just an
error.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting.
This is a nightmare for statisticians.
A couple more little caveats to that. If a team has used up all allowed, this really doesn't do it with the pitch clock, I guess, but it's kind of listed here. It says if a team has used up all of its 5 mound visits by the 9th inning, it receives an extra visit in the 9th. I don't know why that has to do with the pitch clock, but it's in there with it. Okay, this makes sense though. It says umpires can provide. Oh, here you go. Oh, this is interesting. Umpires can provide extra time if circumstances warrant. I don't know what that means. Maybe if it's like a piece of trash is on the mound, or there's a who knows. I don't know. It just sounds like a whole lot of nothing to gain absolutely no time.
Right.
At all.
Right. No, you hit the nail on the head there.
I mean, it didn't work in the minors. It's not going to work in the major leagues. In fact, it's probably just going to piss people off.
Pissing me off.
I'm not a fan of it at all. I wasn't a fan of it when they started talking about it a couple of years ago. I certainly understand, attempting to make that change.
Right.
Because on paper, it sounds like, this will speed the game up, just for the sheer fact that, you can't sit there and dilly-dally as a pitcher. One thing I'm curious though, and I think we've talked about this another time, when you're speeding people up like that, though, I would assume that injuries might come up a little more frequently now. off the mound. It's just, I don't know.
I would think so.
So I don't know. I want to scrap this one. I assume you do too.
Yeah.
But we're going to go back and talk about part of that when we get into something else here. But here's a big one though. I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on this. Infield shifts will be restricted.
Good.
So I'll give you the little bullet points here on this one. It says the defensive team must have no fewer than 4 players in infield positions, with at least 2 on each side of second base. All infielders must have feet on or inside the outer edge of the marked infield while the pitcher is on the rubber. Infielders cannot switch sides of the infield before pitch is released. And if infielders are improperly lined at the time of the pitch, the offensive team may choose to accept the result of the play or receive an automatic ball.
So what we're going to see is we're going to start seeing infields in motion, like in football.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to I'm typically against rules that take away from the strategy of baseball. However, I think that this just changes the way you have to strategize. I think it's going to lead to more injuries, though. And that's my concern with it.
Right.
Because you're going to have, like I said, you're going to have offense or infields in motion. You're going to have shortstops and third baseman taken off as the pitch is thrown. You're going to have stoppages because managers are going to challenge. Oh, he was past second base before the pitch was released.
Right, because there's an imaginary line there.
Right.
Is it was he over this portion based on where second base is at, or was he over this side?
Right. So this is gonna introduce all kinds of issues. So maybe there needs to be a line behind second base now. Like
there's going to have to be kind of like down the foul lines.
Yeah, there's going to have to be a line down behind second base, or it could be it would be good for. No, it wouldn't even really be good for the home viewer. I was going to say do like the yellow line like in football for the first down. But no, they're going to have to put an actual physical line behind second base.
Yeah, they're going to have to. And here's the thing, too. If they're trying to attract new fans to the game, that's just going to make it more confusing.
Right. Why
baseball,
are these guys running?
Yeah, baseball, if you don't understand it, is probably one of the harder sports to really get of the major 4. Football has its moments, basketball and hockey do too, based on some of their oddball rules, but baseball's just chock full of them.
Right.
And adding stuff like this just doesn't make it any better.
Right.
The infield shift itself, though, as a whole, I do like the elimination of it, only on the sheer fact of, we'll have to obviously bring up Ryan Howard. Because what would his numbers have looked like with a
right? Well, and that's kind of where I'm getting to is there's so many players that would have benefited from this that have come through the Philly system. Even Rhys Hoskins. Maybe Rhys Hoskins is going to benefit from it because he's pretty much pull hitter, But I don't know, man. I'm very, like I said, I'm very much anti anything that removes strategy from baseball. This has its pluses and minuses. Like, again, infield's in motion. You're going to basically have to come up with defensive plays for when you've got people who are pull hitters coming up. You're going to have to devise those plays. The timing is going to have to be there. And then you're still, you run the risk of, having an open right side of the infield. But, it also makes it, I guess, tougher for, I don't know. I don't hate it. Okay. I'm willing to roll with it and see how it works. But I do have my reservations.
Right.
Which is going to be typical of any new thing coming into baseball at this point. Let's be honest. Like, if you're an old school baseball fan, you're skeptical. I was skeptical of DH coming into, and I'm still not a huge fan, even though it did benefit us this past year. Still not a huge fan of the DH being in the National League. It takes out a lot of the strategy that a manager has to use on how they handle their pitching staffs. But it did have its upsides for us.
Yeah, no, 100%. I was not a fan of it until I saw how it benefited us. I mean,
Yeah,
that's part of it. And actually, again, I'm kind of the same way. I'm still not a fan of it. It was because that was the thing that set the National League, apart from the American League. So that's not really there anymore. I mean, they're essentially the same exact. I mean, there's no difference now. They leveled it out. This one's interesting just because I'm curious to see how it does affect certain players that have hit a certain way for their entire career. I think you're going to, obviously some offensive numbers increased for players that, obviously just the shift worked against them. I think the averages will increase, when that happens. Adjustments are going to be made on the mound to how they pitch these players. So it'll be interesting to see. Players like Harper, though, who just hits everywhere, this is not going to matter. But player like Hoskins are going back in time to Ryan Howard, or players that were notoriously known to just basically not be friends of the shift.
right.
Obviously would help them out tremendously. So we'll see what happens there. Now, one of these is this last kind of rule that's being changed in baseball, as far as major things are anyway, that are listed. That all three bases, so first, second, and third, are going to increase in size from 15 to 18 inches. Which there's a couple things here. One, it's supposedly to generate the excitement, more stolen bases, whatever. The thing that I find interesting, though, is that going back to the pitch clock, one of the pitch clock rules is that of the 2 pickoff attempts allowed, and now that you have a speedy guy there, you can't do a third one because he's going to get second base anyway. I mean, yeah.
You know what? And here's my thought. So they're going to say, "Oh, we're trying to increase offense, trying to increase stolen bases, blah 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 blah." No. You know why there's more base now? More
Oh,
real estate for ads.
oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, because they're going to. They already have it on the sides, don't they?
It's more real estate for ads.
Yeah, because now they're starting to sell ad space on jerseys. Correct?
Um,
Did I see
I
that
think the
somewhere?
practice jerseys, maybe. Maybe I'm wrong.
I thought I saw that somewhere.
I hope to God not. I'm so fucking tired of seeing ads everywhere.
Okay, yeah. So this goes back. It says MLB officially allowing ads on uniforms in 23. New labor contract agreed to allows teams to add uniform and helmet advertising patches. San Diego. This goes back last year. San Diego Padres were the first team to announce a deal for 23, and that was with Motorola. I always go back and I laugh hysterically, but if you watch Major League 2, and they make the comment about how Roger Dorn needs money, so he starts selling ad space in the outfield walls, and it was a big goof then.
Yeah,
All the walls were blank.
yeah,
And, well, you can't find a blank wall now.
yeah. Somebody from MLB saw that and thought that it was a good idea instead of a joke.
Yeah, so now we're gonna put it on the players, but that's not the first sport to do it, though, is it? I mean,
No. Soccer is like NASCAR where they're just covered in ads. Hockey has small ads on the helmet. I believe they may even have them on the jerseys now. Basketball has ads on the jerseys. Football, luckily so far, doesn't. but I have a feeling it's only a fucking matter of time.
Yep.
Which I hope to God they don't. Dude, seriously, I'm so fucking tired of everywhere there's a fucking ad. This is the first down of the first quarter brought to you by Slack's Hoagie Shack. And like the Slack's Hoagie Shack smack of the week.
Yeah.
It was the
Oh
one,
yeah.
or smack of the game is famous from Eagles games. If you listen to Eagles games on the radio, you hear that shit all the time. And just like everything that happens in the game has a sponsor now.
Right.
Say,
And I know that we typically on when we do this show, it's obviously sports centric, but sports entertainment. Go back to watching the Royal Rumble. The pitch black match has a giant Mountain Dew logo right in the middle. So you have stuff like that. It's ridiculous. It's saturated everywhere. You're right. NASCAR is really bad with it. Soccer has always been bad with it. Like I said, it's not there in football yet, but there's ads everywhere else. Who knows? It's I think it's a matter of time before baseball starts looking like soccer and NASCAR. They've already, just open the gate. That's all they needed to do.
yeah. I mean, it's honestly that it's gonna get to a point where it's gonna be almost unwatchable with all this shit.
Yeah, add all
If
this
you
stuff
watch
now.
if you watch hockey games now, there's actually computer generated ads that they put on the glass. Like while you're watching the game, you'll see the ad, and then the ads change. And there's computer generated ads on the ice in empty spots, and they'll change during the game, like during the course of the game. College football, they've been putting the ads in the goalposts,
Yeah, which just
in
just
between the uprights.
crazy, absolutely crazy.
It's just it's got to stop, man. It's got to stop somewhere, right? It's
Yeah,
stupid at this point. These owners and these leagues and these players are making money hand over fist. When the fuck is enough enough?
it's
Never. The answer's never.
no.
But it really it's getting to the point where shit's getting hard to watch.
And it's funny with all the ad, uh, you know, revenue flowing into these things. It's getting hard to get into stuff because of the common person not being able to afford to buy a ticket,
Right.
let alone looking at secondary markets because tickets are all sold out and then having to pay the premium for it.
Right.
It was funny. Daniel and I were talking about the Savannah Bananas earlier, and how much of a kind of a hit and they've become, and they're traveling this year.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, and so they're doing, but there was wait lists for their tickets and stuff. You can find stuff on StubHub, and I was curious. They're going to West Virginia and they're going to Alabama. Within a few hours of where we're at. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to jump on and see how much tickets are. They were more expensive than the all-inclusive box seats I got at Busch Stadium during a wild card game. they were they were they were pushing $300 a piece.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah.
See,
On
dude,
on
and
the
then
on the
that's just
secondary market.
look, and that's a problem too. Don't even get me started secondary market. I have a coworker who her stepdaughter really wanted to go see Taylor Swift. And she promised her, she's like, look, I will get you Taylor Swift tickets. She spent multiple thousands of dollars for 2 tickets to go see Taylor Swift.
And it's just, yeah. I
Ticketmaster is you want all right. So my level of hatred of organizations. Nazis, pedophiles and rapists, murderers. No. Nazis, pedophiles and rapists, Ticketmaster, murderers.
and the Dallas Cowboys.
And okay. Nazis, pedophiles and rapists, the Dallas Cowboys, Ticketmaster, murderers. So it's bad, man.
It
And
really is.
honestly, so like being serious and getting back to the size of the bases though, I worry about it's another thing where I worry about injuries because players, even like players who've been playing baseball for their entire lives have gotten used to a certain size. And you develop the muscle memory that, okay, I'm this far away from the base. I'm gonna put my foot like first baseman and third baseman that are going to, they've got their foot back or they're going to tat. And then base runners having that, they have their route to the base and going around the base. Somebody's going to turn an ankle. Somebody's going to snap an ankle. Somebody's going to sprain a foot. I mean, maybe
Yeah,
maybe I'm overplaying it, but there's that muscle memory that comes from decades playing the same sport.
I am curious though. You're going to be 3 inches closer to home. Well, that really doesn't matter a whole lot, but I'm curious to see if you'll see any additional attempts on actually stealing home because that never happens anymore.
Yeah, I
So
don't I don't think so. Honestly, I mean,
I don't either, but I think it'd be kind of cool.
I think it will. Well, let's see. I mean, you only get 2 pickoffs, and then you can go, but uh,
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
yeah, it's all. Let me see if I can find it real quick. There was a comment, man, and this is what made me think about the size of the base thing a little bit more in detail. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Had to do with Ricky Henderson, who obviously is the all-time, um, stolen base leader. Let's see here. Had something to do with, yeah. So during the 2022 season, all 15 American League teams accumulated 1,226 stolen bases, which is 180 less than Ricky Henderson's career total.
And how long did Ricky Henderson played fucking forever though?
Yeah, like 24 years or something.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the thing though. If you go back and you really look at some of the numbers that guy ran up, lots of seasons with 100, stolen base. There was a really interesting thing about him with. See if we could find it too. Let me see. It was a really interesting thing. I should have had this prepped, but that's what we do here. Let's see. There we go. Ricky Henderson is the Oakland A's franchise leader, obviously in stolen bases, and he's number 2 all-time franchise for the New York Yankees. And he didn't play with them for very long.
No, that's insane. That's fucking insane. Did he have 2 stints with the Yankees though? I know he had 2 stints with the A's.
Yeah, he had 2 stints with the A's. Let's see here. Throw his baseball reference up real quick. He only had the 1 stint with the Yankees, 5 years, 5 seasons. That was it. 5 seasons, managed to bring up 326 stolen bases.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
And here's the crazy thing too is he played part of the end of his career, like from age 37 on. He bounced around quite a bit because he played till age 44. Played for over 25 seasons, what it was. But he played 3 different parts of seasons with San Diego. And this is from age 37 on, and still stole 91 bases with them.
Jesus.
So yeah, kind of interesting to see though. Maybe this will tick up some stolen base numbers because really hasn't been anyone exciting since Billy Hamilton's run in the minors back in the early 2010s. But I don't know.
I wonder if we'll see now another 50-50 man.
That's quite possible. I just don't know who that would be right now. I don't know of anyone right now that's got that kind of speed.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see. I can't think of anybody off the top of my head that, as far as you think of the power hitters, and nobody's really stealing that many bases anymore. Maybe it changes with the rule changes, but I don't know that we'll ever see that again. That combination of speed and power.
No, and here's the thing. Looking at okay, and I bet you can't even name top of your head who won the stolen base title last year without looking it up.
Yeah, no, but I'm guessing they had like 23.
41.
Oh,
John Birdie
John Birdie. Who the
for,
fuck is John Birdie?
for the Marlins.
Oh,
Yeah, 41. That was the record. That was the leader.
oh shit.
Yeah. So let's see. John Birdie was up top of the list, and let's go to the regular season here real quick, just out of curiosity. Top three were John Birdie, the Marlins 41, Jorge Mateo for the Orioles with 35, and his teammate Cedric Mullins with 34. That was it. So yeah, definitely part of the game. I'm curious to see if the size of the base, in the pitch clock rules, and we'll see.
Yeah.
So
It'll be interesting. It's one of those things where, like, I mean, you remember in 2008 and those teams that the Phillies had that were up near the top of the league. One of the big reasons they was their base running skills,
yes,
and it was between stolen bases and just general good hygiene with regard to base running. And that's something that seems to have fallen off, and a lot of teams just don't pay attention to it. But the good teams, that's one of the ways they win, is they have that little advantage of, look, we may make mistakes, but you're not gonna catch us fucking up on the base paths.
exactly. Yeah. It's just good
Extra
decision making.
outs.
Right. Yeah. Don't give yourself up. But I'm sure we'll definitely talk about this in future Steve Jeltz's as the season goes on, and we'll kind of see how this unfolds.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
got anything else to close us out here with?
Fuck Kansas City, fuck JuJu Smith-Schuster.